So the year was 1992. It was a big year in comic books, especially for young Timmy V here. We had the second Tim Burton Batman movie had just come out a month after my birthday, after my 12th birthday. It came out on June 19th. I remember it vividly. On Halloween of that same year, the X-Men animated series had started on Fox Television, Fox Kids in the mornings, right? One more thing happened later on in that year in November of 1992. And it was something so huge, it was being reported on in the newspaper, on TV news. And now I knew that if something was happening in comic books and it was being reported on in the news, right before the weather report, I knew, in the infamous words of Doc Brown,
"You're gonna see some serious shit."
And that news was that DC Comics was about to kill Superman. And so this is my original polybagged edition of The Death of Superman that I bought off of a shelf in Walmart back in 1992. Now I have other copies of what is in this. I have other copies of The Death of Superman. As a matter of fact, I have this one right here signed by Dan Jurgens himself. It's his autograph right there. Now, I got this guy signed at a convention back when they were a lot smaller and they were in conference rooms in hotels, right? So this is before CGC really became a thing that I got this signed, which is why it's a qualified grade. And for collectors, you know, no one's really looking to buy qualified grade books. But CGC wasn't there to witness this signature. So later on, when they became more popular and I wanted to get my book graded, I sent it in. Thing about this is I was there to get that autograph. I know it's an autograph that personally done by Dan Jurgens himself. I have no interest in selling this book, so I have no qualms with it being a qualified grade. This is one of my favorite pieces that I have. And so I cherish this edition of The Death of Superman for myself. Now, there were other editions out there. There was a platinum edition. There was different prints of the book itself that came out. But the one that I just saw everywhere was the polybagged edition. So this is my only and last polybagged Death of Superman that I've had. And so we're going to open this up. Now, the reason we're going to open it up is because we are comparing it to the brand new version that just came out. This is the 30th anniversary edition Death of Superman. You can tell by the 30th anniversary logo down here at the bottom. And so we're going to compare what's in here to what's in here because they're not the same thing. Now on the back here, it will tell you the contents of what is in this original 1992 polybag. Now, I'll point out the price tag here, $2.50. At this point in time, a regular Superman comic was $1.25. So this polybagged edition with all of these things in it, $2.50 in 1992 for a 12-year-old, this was a tough sell. This was like a, oh man, I don't know if I have $2.50 for a comic book, but here it is. Everything that was in it was the Superman 75 with a fold-out splash cover on the back. The back cover folded out, and you saw the laid-out body of Superman with Lois crying over him. We've got a full-cover memorial poster, full-color commemorative stamps, the Daily Planet obituary, the black mourning armband, which was in a lot of the propaganda for selling the books, especially the funerals. All the superheroes had a black armband around their arm that had this logo on it. And then we have an exclusive Skybox trading card. Now that's definitely a sign of the times for 1992, Skybox trading cards. Back when superhero trading cards were a big hit. And Skybox was doing the DC ones. They did the Death of Superman, the Reign of Superman, and all the subsequent Superman stories that were tied in to what started right here. So we're going to crack this guy open. And then we're going to crack this guy open, because it's got a listing of some different things back here. So let's start comparing these two. Now, before we do start cracking them open, one thing I will notice is the size difference here, right? So this one, actually, you can kind of see where the comic stops right here. This feels like it's got a backing board in there, making it a little bit taller. And this one just has a flimsy comic and poster and whatever else inside of it. So there is a considerable size difference there. But then secondly is the packaging. Back in the 90s, polybags always had this seam down the back. This kind of flappy seam. Well, the new ones don't. Very clean polybag, kind of crimp sealed at the top here. So that's one major difference right there. They really put some quality into this brand new 30th anniversary packaging. Not only does it have a backing board in it and it's stiffer, but just the overall packaging is a lot nicer. So let's go ahead and crack into this 30-year-old version first. You guys have watched me open up some things that I've had sealed for a very long time, especially those Robin books that I did last time. This here, this and this really get my anxiety going. So let's, okay. I mean, that's a 30-year-old polybag that was never opened, and I just chopped the top off of it. So I'm sure you can understand a little bit of my hesitancy. All right. I don't think there's anything else in the bag, in the poly bag itself. So it looks like back here is where the poster is, and then everything else might be in between. But the comic itself was meant to look like a headstone. This is the exact same comic that is in every other version of the book. A lot of people might recognize the one that I showed you a second ago. Let me grab it. This guy right here, he is the, I think, most famous version. It's the same book, different color. This was a newsstand edition, or one you could buy at the comic book shop. This version here is the one that was in the poly bag. Now, they did make what they called a platinum edition of this. And it was basically a silverish poly bag with a, this is more embossed. It's kind of glittery, if you will, very embellished comic. Now, they did mention that there is a double gatefold in the back of the book here. And so after the death of Superman, you had all of these ongoing issues. They had a full funeral for a friend storyline that happened. Here we have it right here, right after the battle with Doomsday. There's Lois holding a barely conscious Superman. And then you fold open the gate, and there it is. There's Superman laid out with Lois crying over him. This hit hard back in 1992. The imagery of this hit hard, you know, because this was the death of Superman. Are you kidding me? The death of Superman, the invincible, godlike character of DC Comics, dead? Man, that was insane, right? As we come to find out later on, though, I'm sorry for the 30-year-old spoilers if you're not aware. I'm actually playing The Death of Superman right here on TV. It's on HBO Max if you wanted to catch up on the storyline. The cartoon itself does a decent telling of the storyline. They change some things, obviously. So they have The Death of Superman, then they have The Reign of Superman, which is the follow-up storyline in the comics as well. So, needless to say, you can go and watch this and get all your spoilers, but Superman did die. He really did die. But there was a character called the Eradicator who was a protector of Krypton, who came to life and took Superman's body out of his grave and brought him to the birthing matrix, the convenient birthing matrix that Superman had in his Fortress of Solitude, and it reactivated his cells with solar energy. And it took a long time. In the meantime, everything went to hell. Within the book itself, you had other people posing as Superman, and not quite sure, maybe one of them could have been the Superman. Like, that was the big mystery until they also really started revealing themselves, because there's only one true Superman, right? Yeah, it was a long, drawn-out story. It blew my mind as a 12-year-old moving into a 13-year-old. By the time Superman came back to life, I was just like, this had done a couple things. It had awakened me to the fact that comic book companies will do anything for a cash grab. And secondly, you can never kill Superman. Not really. Not since he's got that contingency plan of reactivating his cells after he's dead. He's zombie Superman now, right? I mean, basically, right? Yes. Okay, so enough of my ranting here, okay? Let's get into what else was in that poly bag. One thing I mentioned was an obituary. Now, I've never seen this myself, so I'm interested as to what this obituary looks like. Probably a newspaper print, right? Okay. It looks like it's a cut out of the Daily Planet. Man of Steel dies defending city. I have literally never seen this. And it's cut off at the bottom here. Thousands missing, feared dead after in aftermath of Doomsday attack. They wrecked the city. They destroyed the city. In the Man of Steel movie, when Zod and Superman are fighting each other and they're blowing through buildings and stuff like that, that was very reminiscent of the way the Doomsday Superman fight went in the comics. I don't think the one that was actually in the Man of Steel movie, that Doomsday, I don't think they did that justice. That Doomsday came out kind of weak, even though, Superman died in that movie as well. I don't think they portrayed that correctly in the live action, even though I like what they did. I'm not gonna lie. And I feel like this is actually printed on like newsprint, like this super thin sheet of paper. Very cool. This is literally my first time I've ever seen this. I've never seen anybody post the picture of this in like 30 years, right? Okay, let's see what else is in there. Okay, so one of the items that they had listed was stamps, and I wasn't sure if they meant like actual United States Postal Service stamps, and I don't think that's what these are. They're perforated, but I don't think there's any... I'm not going to lick the back of these to see if they stick or anything like that, but they are perforated around the edges. But I don't think you can use these as postage stamps. Some very iconic artwork here. This image right here, this image that Dan Jurgens drew right here is probably one of my favorite iconic images of Superman. I think they actually used it in the corner box of the issues for quite some time, as a matter of fact. These are fun. I guess they're cool if you're a stamp collector, but they're not. I don't think you can actually use them. I can't mail a letter with this. That's not going to happen, right? So I had to double check. It's not that image. It's not that image of Superman that was in the corner boxes. It was that image. Very close. Very close. You can see how I was confused, but close enough. Okay. Next up, we have the Skybox card, the trading card. And this was the Death of Superman trading card. This is a promo card. It's not even part of the set. It's just a promo card. November 17th, 1992 is when Superman died. So right before I am actually recording this, almost 30 years to the day when I'm recording this episode here. 4 bonus cards, 9 cover cards, and 8,000 individual numbered, 8,000 boxes. 8,000 boxes of these cards are out there. So I'm sure you could find a full, complete set for practically nothing if you looked hard enough. So it's basically just a version of the cover itself. All right, nothing exciting there. I don't think they included anything like this in the new set that we're about to open here soon, when, I can see why, honestly. So... all right, and I think next up we have a poster. I'm excited to see what this poster looks like. All right, so this is a tall poster, I think. I don't know if I have enough room to back all the way up, but I'll try to get as much of it in frame as possible. Here we go. The Death of Superman, and it lists all of the issues that were the Doomsday issues leading up to the death, and then the Funeral for a Friend issues over here. And then after that, you had the Reign of Superman issues, which I'm not seeing listed in any of this stuff. So I wonder if maybe it was a little too early on in the pre-planning, because you still had a couple months of issues here before you even got to that. One thing that really stands out to me in this is that, so Superman's dead. Nobody knows that Clark Kent is Superman, right? So in the story of everything, Superman or Clark Kent is just missing, along with like thousands of other people and all the rubble in the city and everything like that. They just can't find Clark Kent. With that being said, Clark Kent's parents are right there in the middle of the funeral holding his cape. What's left of his cape. Is that not sus or what? There's nobody, like, there was bystanders on the side of the street watching this procession move down the street. Then you can't tell me nobody was like, who are those old people in the, like, you've got Blue Beetle and Nightwing and Hawkman and Hawkgirl and the Ray and the Guardian. Who are those 2 old people holding his cape? Who could those 2 old people possibly be? I just noticed that. Okay. This is a cool poster though. It's quality. It's quality. I like it. I'm not a big fan of posters that have creases all down the middle of them. I never really hung these up in my room, because the creases always drove me nuts. Because in my opinion, it kind of made me feel like they look cheap. But okay, all right, back in the bag it goes. Now, one thing I will mention though is that there was multiple versions of this new Death of Superman 30th anniversary edition that came out. You had the polybag version, then you had the version that looked like the newsstand version, and I have that guy right here. It looks just like it. The corner bars are a bit different. I apologize for the glare. Let me try to get rid of that. And then there's a new header up here as well. But this has an introduction by the creators of the story, the editor of the storyline at the time as well. And I just picked it up just because this is kind of a reader copy for me. This is my only copy of this, and it's in it's not my only copy of this, but it's my only copy like this with this cover, and it's sealed up. So I wanted a version like this that had the gatefold cover on the back and everything. So it's just iconic. It's just iconic. I love it. So I realized before I opened up the new polybag that there was one item that I couldn't find in the old polybag, and that was the black armband. And so I opened up the bag, like there is nothing in this guy whatsoever. I was looking on the floor. Did I drop it? Where'd it go? I went through the poster. Nothing fell out of the poster. So I start flipping through the pages of the book itself. And as I'm flipping through, in between the pages here it is. The black armband. Now, this is obviously a display piece. There's no way that you can tie this around your arm. I guess maybe if you had like a safety pin or something like that, it could fit around your arm. But that's kind of pretty though, with the shiny red. I hate that the crease is in the middle of it. I would have preferred an uneven, like if they had folded it like right here, maybe, if they had folded it like that, I would have been okay with that. But this is cool. This is my first time seeing the armband as well, and it's made out of this very kind of ribbon material. If you've ever participated in anything in school and got a ribbon for it, it's that sort of kind of papery cloth material. You can kind of, one of those sort of things, I would like to maybe display this somewhere because it is pretty cool. I like that. DC Comics 1992. All right, now we can go see what is in the other polybag. As I had mentioned before, back in 92, the regular Superman comic books were running for like $1.25 a piece, and the polybagged edition with all that stuff in it was twice the price at $2.50. Well, in this brand new one, it features an 80-page book, which I think features the original comic book plus new stories featuring the original creative talent. All right, so that's a bonus. Now, 80-page books nowadays for DC Comics can run anywhere between $7.99 to $9.99, and these guys right here are going on average. Now that's just a plain book, right? $7.99 to $9.99. Polybagged edition with other content in it with it now, twice the price. So some of these are going for between $15 to $20 off of the newsstand itself. So we're going to open this up and see if it is worth that potential $20 price tag. Now on the back here, it gives a table of contents as well. It says Death of Superman 30th Anniversary Special with 80 pages of content. And then it says Black Anniversary Armband. Now I don't know if it's like this original Black Anniversary Armband. I read interviews with Dan Jurgens, the artist and writer of Death of Superman, saying he was particularly excited about the armband that came with these issues. So I'm sure there's some sort of upgrade, and I'm curious as to what they look like. So let's crack this guy open. So I have never made a finer cut in my life. There's a backing board right here, and I didn't want to cut into the backing board. I've never cut a thinner piece out of a bag in my entire life. I impressed myself with that. Okay. So as we see, there is a backing board here. Nothing special, basic backing board. And we will reach in and pull out. Ooh, this is very pretty. Look at this guy. Let's compare him to the way the other one looked. In memory of the multiverse's greatest hero. Interesting. In memory of Earth's greatest hero. Look at that. All right, the Death of Superman 30th Anniversary Special 1. There is another newsstand edition that was basically an 80-page book like this. That might have been Special 2. Same book, just different cover. And I think it actually had this artwork on it. That's some Dan Jurgens artwork right there if I saw some. That is just so very pretty. My book is kind of scuffed though. I'm not happy about that. Like, look at that. You see that? I think that was just in shipping maybe, but I'm kind of bummed about that. I don't like that at all. Now the bag itself had some scuffs on it. Like, it was not in great condition, you know. So the shipping with a lot of these books nowadays, sometimes it's kind of a give or take, if you will. So this is 80 pages, and what is happening? The pages are stuck together. Interesting. Okay, I have not read this yet, and I want to go through and check it out as well. Okay, I love the cover of this. I'm kind of bummed about the condition of it otherwise. That sucks. You hear it popping because it's kind of stuck together a little bit. I don't know what is on that. Is it like glue? To be fair, guys, I have another polybagged edition of this that I kept for myself. So if this one's in rough shape, it's okay. There's some sort of tacky stuff in there. I don't know what that is, but it's okay. I love the sheen of this book. That's looking pretty sharp. Now, I did notice the armband in the polybag here, and we're going to check that out. We're going to see what that looks like. Feels like it's more of a clothier material. Oh, this is like a real armband. This is like a real cloth armband. Look at that. They folded it the way that it should have been done in the first place. I could do without that 30th anniversary logo on it, but this is very much of a clothy material compared to the stiffness, the rigid paperness of this guy. This is like a real cloth. I can't even get, like this guy, I can go like that and you can get everything, but this, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm trying to show you the comparison and I can't. All right. It's also thinner as well. It's thinner by, maybe a third, maybe like a quarter. It's thinner. Yeah, like a quarter. It's about the same length, but it doesn't have this award material on it. So it's not it's not cut like that. So very cool. I do like this. It feels like a very quality piece. All right, not bad. $20 though. $20 for this 80-page giant. And then, so this is typically, there's no price tag on here, but I would bet that this is like an $8.99, $9.99 book, okay? But then you're paying potentially another $10 for just this armband. I don't know if that price tag is justified. The ones that are, people who are selling them for maybe $15, I get that. Okay, I can get that. Okay, so I don't know. I got 2 items out of the new one, paying almost $20. The original being $2.50. Kept it for 30 years and got like 5 items out of it. Nothing that, really stands out or is, I care about all that much. But this just sticks true to the fact that this is all a gimmick. It's all a gimmick. 30 years later, celebrating the death of a guy who died and then came back. But I do have one more item to show you guys as well. I have also held on to this for almost 30 years now. It came out in 1993, so 29 years. I think it's close enough, but we're going to open this up and take a look at it as well. So at the end of everything, after the death of Superman, after the funeral for a friend, after the reign of the Superman, you had Superman coming back for good. The real tried and true Superman. The one Superman that everybody wanted to see in the live action version with the black costume with the silver emblem. They wanted to see that because that's how he came back in the comics from his death. So right here we have a polybagged version of Back for Good, Superman issue 82, a solid 7 months after the death of Superman in 1993. Superman came back for good with in this polybag. It's a sealed polybag edition as well. It's got that flap down the middle. This version came with a 22 by 28 poster in it as well, and this was the finalized return of Superman with his big black mullet. I hated that look, but it was so 90s, right? The long hair was so 90s back then. So they really tried to modernize this guy. So let's clip this guy open and see what the poster looks like. All right. Shoop. Okay, 40 pages. This is a 40-page book, hence pulling the $2 price tag out at the time, because I think even 7 months later, these books might have only been like maybe $1.50 at the most. So, but it's got an extra like 16 pages in it, pulling out some of that extra cash. You have, look at that, you have all of these Supermen here. You have Superboy, you have the Eradicator, you have Resurrected Superman, you have Steel. The only one missing was Cyborg Superman because, spoilers, he was the biggest enemy of them all. He was actually a villain in disguise. Yes, and this is the final issue where they're all fighting against Cyborg Superman. Look at that. Superman knocked his jaw off. Crazy. The battle culminating in Superman putting his arm through his chest, Cyborg Superman's chest. Look at that. Shredding his black costume. That's okay, because he's about to go back to the tried and true red, yellow, and blue. So yeah, this was the official return of Superman. Now, to solve the problem of Clark Kent having been missing this whole time, Supergirl, who is a shapeshifter, posed as Clark Kent hiding in rubble so that Superman could use his X-ray vision and see that Clark Kent is trapped under that rubble of that building. And they free Clark Kent, and therefore nobody even realizes that Clark Kent and Superman are the same person anymore. Classic. Let's check out this poster. First of all, look how they folded this guy up. He's like so thin. You know, the rest of them were the shape of the comic. This guy is like, he's like squeezed. I once again, I don't know what this poster looks like, and I'm very interested in it. Oh, I actually like this one quite a bit. This is a good Superman poster. That's pretty good. I can't not get a glare on it because it's all folded up, but I like. Yes, for me, Dan Jurgens drew the eponymous, the epitome of Superman in the 90s, quite honestly, and quite obviously, because it was my introduction to Superman in the comic books. I watched the movies, the Chris Reeves movies, but like that was the extent of it for me at the time. And so when everything hit the fan with the death of Superman and I started reading Superman, I'm like, oh yeah, he draws him just like Chris Reeves looks. And so maybe Dan Jurgens drew his version of Superman to look like what people iconicized Chris Reeves to look like in the Superman movie as well. I don't know, but this has always been the version of Superman that stood out to me the most. I think besides Neil Adams. Neil Adams also drew one of the most iconic Supermen of all time as well. But regardless, that's all I got for you guys today. We went through the death of Superman 30 years ago. We went through the revitalization of the death of Superman today, and then revisited his resurrection when it happened the first time. I don't know if they'll do a 30th anniversary of the resurrection of Superman, but I doubt it. But so it was fun, good. You know, they're nice little collectible pieces. To tell you the truth, if it were to come down to collectorship, I was better off not opening that poly bag because I would not have seen the condition of the back of that book. It would have been, you know, Schrodinger's Superman, if you will. Is it damaged? Is it not damaged? You don't know because it's stuck inside the bag, right? But otherwise, like, It's for my own collection, and that's okay. And like I said, I have another version. I have another poly bag that I don't plan on opening up. So anyway, you guys, thanks so much for hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed the comparison of the two, let me know. Give me some comments below on the YouTube channel. And feel free to hit me up on Instagram right here at Marvelous TNG. I have more comic book stuff coming up for you soon. I just got my new comic mystery box that I get every month. And so I'll be going through and opening up that guy pretty soon. I actually got it a couple weeks ago. So by the time my next one shows up, I'll be ready to open that one, right? So, anyway, I will talk to you guys very soon. Bye-bye.